Welcome to a lunar spectacle on Twitchy Tuesdays. Today, we are in anticipation of the partial lunar eclipse, marking the end of eclipse season. Yes. And opening a gateway to all that November has to offer. Our first segment today, we're going to be cleaning out the broom closet. We'll sweep away all of the celestial mysteries, revealing the insights for the week. Then we will journey through the last eclipse in Taurus and the November astrology, just giving some highlights and some overviews. We'll uncover what these transformative energies and guidance has in store for us. And of course, I have the trusty Tarot here to provide any additional insights that are needed. And then at the end, you'll want to stay tuned till then because I will be giving the Twitchy tip of the week to help us kind of gracefully, as much as we can, navigate the cosmic tides. So let's learn the astrology. We'll stay for the tarot right here on Twitchy Tuesday. Let's get right into it. Cleaning out the broom closet. So this week we have a jam-packed week, but it only comes in like 4 different days. But the 28th, we are headed towards the 28th. The 28th is the big day, but we've got to start with what is occurring right now today. In fact, it might have already occurred depending upon where you're located or where you're watching this from. The sun in Scorpio trined Saturn retrograde in Pisces. That is, again, happened today. 0 degrees, 37 minutes is where that occurred at. And we're building. We have nothing from the 24th to the 28th in direct aspects. We are literally building and getting our energy, our body, our mental prepared for the 28th, which has not just the eclipse, but also has some Jupiter aspects as well. So on the 28th, Mars in Scorpio opposes Jupiter retrograde in Taurus at 11 degrees, 16 minutes. That will happen first. Then we will get into the partial lunar eclipse. Depending upon where you are in the globe, it may be visible to you. We will talk about that. That will occur at 5 degrees, 9 minutes of Taurus. And then after that, a couple hours after that, Mercury in Scorpio will oppose Jupiter retrograde in Taurus at 11 degrees, 12 minutes. Big day on the 28th. We're going to be feeling that energy building up until then. We'll feel it afterwards, allowing that release to go. But Mercury in Scorpio and Mars in Scorpio are not going to let up. Then very next day, 10/29, within 24 hours of this eclipse, Mercury in Scorpio will conjunct Mars in Scorpio at 11 degrees, 54 minutes. And then 10/31, Venus in Virgo will close us out at the end of the month with her trine to Uranus retrograde in Taurus, 21 degrees, 36 minutes. So all of this Scorpio energy, all of the Scorpio aspects that we just covered, that was actually all talked through, all talked about in the last Twitchy Tuesday episode. And you can check that out on YouTube now. It's the one that's entitled Scorpio Season. We covered all of these, including the Mercury and Mars conjunction. So make sure to head over there and check that out. What I do want to talk about before we get into the November astrology and then the eclipse round out is this closing out of the month with another Venus and Uranus transit. So if you'll remember, we ended September in a square. Venus and Uranus were in a square with each other. Venus was in Leo at the time. Uranus has been in Taurus. And this month, we close out another month with Venus and Uranus, but now they are in a trine. And thank goodness. Thank goodness. We need this. This is something we need. We're not mad about this. So it really, and even with this eclipse being the last one in Taurus, even with all of the other things going on, it is a very, very good time to practice gratitude and to learn how to celebrate where you can. Yes, there is lots of chaos happening. However, there are still things that we can celebrate. There are still things that we've accomplished. There are still things that we can be in gratitude about. I mean, even if it is just for you simply, fuck, we made it to the end of October. We made it through October. Even if that is all it is, that's enough. That's the gratitude. That's the celebration that you can find. We made it through the eclipses. There's another one. I mean, it could be simple if right now is there's just a lot happening in the world. If there's a lot happening in your world, just finding that simple space to create that gratitude, celebrate. It's also the 31st, right? It's Samhain. It's also Halloween. And it is the perfect day with Uranus kind of triggering that trine, Venus being in Virgo. It is a wonderful day to get a little scorpionic. Get a little wild, get a little seductive, get a little like Scorpio vibes happening, get a little dark and mysterious. If you are going to go out for Halloween, maybe you've been like trying to decide if you were going to wear that like super sexy outfit, or if you were going to go more not super sexy, do the sexy outfit. It is the perfect day to do the sexy outfit. Try to tap into that mystic side. Be okay with like weird divination, go howl at the moon, like however you can get Venus to get wild in Virgo. I know that that's a little bit contradictory, but Venus does have a wild side in Virgo. Virgo can be wild. Unleash the Virgo wildness inside of you. Do it. It's the perfect day to do it. Uranus could make that really fun. It could be kind of that like mental release that you needed after all of October. So don't hesitate. All right, let's get into the November astrology roundout. So November astrology, like I said, I do have the tarot here. I will start shuffling, see what wants to come out as we talk through November. November overall. So let's just level set again on our theme for quarter 4. Our theme overall is freedom to expand. So that's what we're working with in the month, in October, November, and December, is this concept of we've built our foundation. We went through the beginning of the year. We've laid our foundation. Now it is the time and the ability where we can expand on everything, right? We can expand on our ideas. We can expand on what we've already laid out. We can look at our foundation and go, perfect. Let me move this wall here. Let me create this there. However, there is a little bit of a caveat with this one. Give me a moment. Look at my new mug. I love it. Excuse me. Oh, this is, look, HEB. Thank you. Shout out to the HEB. Got the pumpkin mug. Super happy. All right. So November, freedom to expand, but it comes with high effort and high reward. Your amount of effort that you put into these next 3 months will equal the amount of reward that you get out of it when December comes, when December ends, and we get into 2024. Ooh, all right. Obviously, the sage is kicking and the incense is kicking because woo. All right. So what we have for November. The 2 lunations in November happens on November 13th. It will be the Scorpio new moon at 20 degrees, 44 minutes. That Scorpio new moon will conjunct Mars. That's going to be a joy. It will also oppose Uranus retrograde in Taurus. Also another joy. And then November 27th, we will end the month with a Gemini full moon at 4 degrees, 51 minutes, which will oppose Mars, now in Sagittarius. So the conjunction for the Scorpio means Mars is in Scorpio. So I got the Page of Pentacles that came through. Let's see what else. And the Queen of Pentacles. All right. So November lunations, we have, boom, Page and Queen of Pentacles, this earthbound energy. And it's funny because Scorpio and Gemini, not earth signs. So what's happening right now in Earth, that we've got obviously the Taurus eclipse. So what is pertinent right now may show itself later. There may be a lot of ideas coming in, lots of things that you want to take this high effort, high reward. It might not be the time right now. Remember, this is talking about November. It may not be the time right now, but it can certainly be the time going into November. There's a lot of opening with this. There's a lot of ability to create. There's a lot of ability to even harvest, right? Still see all and reaping the rewards of the things that you're bringing in. So stations, let's talk about what's happening in November with the stationing of planets, or asteroids. On 11/2, Vesta will station retrograde at 7 degrees, 30 minutes of Cancer. When she stations retrograde, she'll trine the sun in Scorpio, sextile Juno in Virgo. And then on 11/4, Saturn will station direct at 0 degrees, 31 minutes of Pisces. 2 lunations, 2 stations. That's what we got for November. But that Saturn station in direct, that's going to be a juicy one. Here we go, Saturn. We just did a whole reset and redo of Saturn and Pisces is essentially where we're at. So we have a bunch of ingresses that happen in November. 11/8, Venus will head into Libra. 11/10, Mercury will go into Sagittarius. 11/19, Pallas Athena will head into Scorpio. 11/22, the sun will head into Sag. We'll get our Sag season. And then following on the 24th, both Mars and Ceres enter Sagittarius together. I have to check the times and everything, but obviously as we go through these Twitchy Tuesdays and get into the month of November, we will break all of these down in Hermit. We will break all of these down in more grave detail and exactly what those energies and those changes you can expect from those. And this Hermit card, it's this idea of like, I'm hearing like, you got to hold the vision, trust the process. Like, know that these things are coming, but know that they won't, like, you've got to wait. You may be really excited about Mars heading into Sag. Maybe Sag is your season, right? Like, this is where your birthday is. You're like, I can't wait till we get there. Yep. A lot of us can't wait till we get into Sag season. However, Hermit, temper yourself. You've got to go through the process. You've got to get all the way through Scorpio season. You have to do what Scorpio is wanting you to do. You have to receive the messages of this last eclipse. You've got to get there. So just hold on. Just hold on. We're coming home. All right, aspects. So for the month of November, we have 6 oppositions. That is the kind of theme of November, is opposing forces. Lots of ingresses and opposing forces. We have 5 trines, 4 sextiles, and 4 squares, and then 1 lowly conjunction. However, Mars was not going to be outdone, even though it is the only conjunction for November. It is the Mars Cazimi. He will be entering in, resetting himself, entering into that Cazimi with the sun, reset totally. So that is something definitely to look forward to in November inside of that conjunction. So that rounds out November. Again, this is why we do Twitchy Tuesday weekly. We will cover all of these in pieces. Not only will we cover them, but we'll also do tarot readings for them. We'll get some extra lives on. We'll go through the zodiac signs. We'll do all the fun stuff. Okay. This is what we really want to get to. This is what today is all about. It is about the ending of eclipse season. Partial lunar eclipse happening 10/28 at 3:24 p.m. Central. It will occur at 5 degrees, 9 minutes of Taurus. It trines Juno, which is in Virgo, will sextile Vesta in Cancer. So we've got the goddess asteroids out there helping us out. It's ruled by Venus, who is also in Virgo with Juno. And it is completely energized by Uranus and Jupiter in Taurus. And not just because they're both in the same sign of Taurus, but Jupiter, as we know, on that same day is opposing Mars in Scorpio, Mercury in Scorpio. So that is very, very active during the moon, during this lunation. And there's also a really special reason why Jupiter needs to be highlighted, and we will get to that. So, last Taurus eclipse. This is it. We are closing out our Taurus Scorpio eclipses that have been occurring for the last 1.5 years. If you are on replay, fam, or if you are live with me and you are a fixed sign or have heavy fixed sign placements, like throw up a celebration in the chat. Fixed signs, let's completely celebrate. I mean, after this eclipse, like after we get through the 28th, as we close out October, get into November, absolutely celebrate. Be in gratitude, fixed signs, because we are at the end. We are away from the squares that these eclipses have been bringing us and our fixed placements. It is a breathing point. It is something that we can actually have some movement in. Maybe it will open fixed signs up until January 21st of 2024, because that's when our most beautiful friend Pluto gets into Aquarius again. And he'll stay there till September, then retrograde back into Capricorn. Then in 2025 will bring us right back into Aquarius. So from now, well, after the eclipse until January 21st, fixed signs, you got lots to be grateful for. All right. I'm going to put the cards down because this needs the level set. Here is what came in incredibly clear for this eclipse. Get off the surface and get thorough. That is the message for this eclipse. That is what we are going to look through. And I do have the chart pulled up, ready to go. So we will look through, but this is going to be the theme of this eclipse. And you will see that put throughout this entire overview. Get off the surface and get thorough. Again, high effort, high reward. If you stay on the surface, more than likely you're not putting in enough effort, which means you're not going to equate the reward that you're probably wanting. Get thorough. That's how you have that high effort and high reward. Jupiter is watching. Jupiter is watching. So now is the time to get off the surface and get thorough with everything. So just from an astronomy standpoint, I love to level set with the astronomy so that way you know what eclipse is and all of that. Astronomy standpoint, lunar eclipses occur in the full moon phase. So this is a full moon, lunar eclipses, full moons, solars, or new moons. And that is when the Earth passes between the sun and the moon. This alignment essentially causes the Earth's shadow to be cast upon the moon. So it is supposed to be full. The eclipse kind of blocks that light, making it dark or cast, shadowed. And this particular eclipse is a partial lunar eclipse. You have two different kinds of eclipses when it comes to the lunar cycle. The lunar eclipse means that only a portion of the moon enters the Earth's shadow. So it will lead to kind of a partial darkening of the lunar surface, not that full darkening, if you will. It will be viewable on the Atlantic Pacific side of everything that goes from Europe to kind of the East Coast of the US into Central America down to South America. It's kind of in that sphere of the globe. That's where it's going to be viewable. So depending upon where you're located, you could have really high percentile that you're going to see this darkening. Other locations, you may not see it at all. Other locations, you may just see a portion of it. So you can take a look. NASA does really great on their website or on Twitter, on X, in kind of giving out all of this information. You can find it on many and multitudes of different websites. All right, get off the surface and get thorough. Let's take a look at this eclipse and let's level set on all the things. Okay. Here is, let me get that out the way. Here is what we are working with. Let me get my handy dandy highlighter out here and see if I can make this bigger for everyone. Oh, look at me doing the things here. All right, let's see if I can get this to come down a little bit. Look at that, y'all. All right, we're working, doing new things here, trying things out. Get off the surface and get thorough. So let's get this green. Perfect. Thank you very much. Here is the sign of Taurus. This is the sign of Scorpio. This is the axis that we are working with, up and down. You can see here these awesome red lines. These red lines indicate oppositions, challenges, etc. So you can see here the sun is at 5 degrees 9 minutes, moon at 5 degrees 9 minutes. This is where the moon is happening. You can see that right up here of Taurus. So the other things that we were talking about is Jupiter, which you can find right here, still in retrograde at 11 degrees 14 minutes. Opposing this amazing conjunction of Mars and Mercury, 11 degrees, 23 minutes of Scorpio for Mars, 10 degrees, 42 minutes of Scorpio for Mercury. All right, this right here is Venus. She is at 18 degrees, 49 minutes of Virgo. She is the ruler of this moon. She was the ruler of actually both eclipses, like we've talked about. So let's start off with the moon. Again, moon right here. So Taurus and the moon and this whole eclipse cycle between Taurus and Scorpio axis. So I saw an image, right? It was on Instagram. It was a meme when the nodes went into Taurus and Scorpio a year and a half ago, and we began to have these Taurus Scorpio eclipses. That meme showed a rose bush. It was a potted plant, a rose coming out the top, and it had the roots in. And it was the most brilliant picture and most brilliant depiction of what Taurus and Scorpio axis is all about. Taurus being the rose that comes out, the leaves of this bush, of this plant, with Scorpio being the roots and the thorns, what is underneath and what is above on the earth. So that has always stuck with me. And I love that imagery so much that I definitely use it in analogies when talking about this access point. So with the Taurus area of life, Venus and all her Taurian themes, the key values that really get highlighted in Taurus are things around the security and money that we have, what we own, how we support ourselves, the home that we have, excuse me, how we live our life, how we are able to create in the world, like the things that make us secure to be able to come out and create in the world. But most of all, it's how you are living your life via your worth, how you speak to yourself about your worth, how you own your worth, etc. So when we head up to the sun being in the sign of Scorpio right here, that is where we talk about the key values of Taurus, the security, the money, the beautiful things in life, the senses, all of that, and how then you share those with others. So things that Scorpio rules: finances, shared bank accounts, debts, joint investments. If you rent, you're a landlord. If you own, your mortgage company, banks, credit cards, taxes, etc., all the way through. It's how it's the access point of what you have and how you have and share that with others. Scorpio also rules taboos, and it's kind of like death, sex, and taxes. Easiest way to think through the Scorpio. So in this kind of balance of the two, as we've gone through the last 18 months with this cycle, as this is the ending of this cycle, how have those themes shown up for you? And what you also want to look for is where in your natal chart does this show up for you? So for example, this Taurus, I'm going to mark this with a different color, is showing up in the 3rd house in this chart. Scorpio is showing up in the 9th house with the sun being in the 8th house. Okay, so it kind of spans the 2 houses. So what you can do with your natal chart is figure out what house or houses this access point is on for you, and then look at the themes of those house or houses and figure out how that's been playing out for you. So somebody who has Taurus, I guess this would cover the 2nd and the 3rd house, right? Somebody who has Taurus in the 2nd and 3rd house, here you are in the 2nd house where the moon is actually your finances, right? This is the financial part. This is the house that Taurus rules. And then when we come into the 3rd house, those themes would be themes of like communication, brothers and sisters, short-term travel, etc. So that's how you can utilize how the moons and all of these aspects and what is happening with them with your natal chart and how they're showing up and working for you. So get off the surface and get thorough. Get into that work. Figure out what's changed. Figure out what you like. Figure out what you don't like. Figure out what you need to take away, what you need to leave behind. And then we have to talk about Venus. She is the ruler. She is right here. She is having a great time being the ruler of this chart, living life up in Virgo. And we've talked a lot about Venus in many different settings. Venus has kind of had a year, and a lot of her becoming this year, and a lot of how I've seen this, because at her core, Venus is all about self-worth. She's all about the ability to have self-worth and what that looks like in life, what your journey is around your worth. Because how can you get the things you want in the 2nd house, which she rules, as well as the 7th house of the sign of Libra, which she also rules, and these relationships that we want and the partnerships that we want, etc., if you don't know your own value and your own worth, and you can't embody and own that, step into that. So, and now they want cards. All right. So self-worth wise, what has this journey been like for you, right? So Venus covered all of this territory in over the summertime. She did her retrograde in Leo. Her last retrograde was up here in the sign of Capricorn. These two were big retrograde cycles for her. And what's that journey been like for you? How has your values developed and changed over the last 18 months as we've been working with these energies? What now can you handle on your own that you were never able to handle before? How have you grown? How have you healed? How have you thrived? Like, think through each of those pieces and really take stock of that during this moon. Take stock of what that's been like for you. There's, again, getting thorough. Use this Virgo energy that she's in right now and be really practical. That's great. Virgo is great for that. The Fool just came out. Let's put that there. We'll continue to talk. Be very practical about your truth, practical about these questions, practical about your answers, practical about the matter at hand, which is, are you where you need to be? Are you secure? Do you have your money in order? Are you sharing finances the right way? Are you in too much debt? Do you not have enough debt to get the things that you want? Should you, like all of these practical, like be very analytical about it, which is that Virgo theme and Venus can tap into as you're beginning to take stock of all of this. This is that moment during harvest season, the Fool. This is that moment during harvest season where you, like, the Fool is going on a journey. Winter is coming. Winter is coming. We are on a journey to winter, and the Fool had to take stock of this little bag that he's got right here. He's got his little dog, took stock, got this awesome flower in his hand, took stock. He had to take stock, be very practical, because you can't fit everything in this bag. The Fool ain't carrying all the bags. He's carrying one bag. Analytical and practical about your stock of your harvest, what you've been working for, what things are closing out during this lunation. A couple of things that, like, Venus and Virgo is really, especially with this eclipse and the last one that we had, which was uber powerful. You are worthy of the best life possible. We all are. Period. Dot. We are worthy of the best life possible. That's it. That is our right. That's it. We are the only ones that stand in our way of that. We, us, individual. Me. I stand in the way of me creating the best life possible for myself. We do it all the time. So it's understanding that it's scary. The Fool, it's scary. It's scary to jump off. It's scary to own your worth. It's scary to put yourself out there. It's scary to make these changes. Do it fucking scared. Do it scared. The Fool will do it scared. The Fool's going on the journey. The Fool is jumping off this cliff. The Fool is done. You deserve to live the way that is within your highest good, your destiny path. That is what you came here with. You came here with that already ingrained in you. You deserve to live that way. Again, this is our human experience. So if it's not coming, or if it's not the best life possible, if it's not what you know deep inside, that you're not aligned with that destiny path for yourself, you've got to make those changes in the human realm to create that for you. And that's what all of this has been about. That's what all of these little things, it's not a change overnight. It's not I jump off talking about the tarot, the major arcana. There are many cards in the major arcana. The Fool just doesn't jump off at 0 and literally get to the end. That doesn't happen that way. No. You got 24 cards to go through. We've got work to do. There are things that have to happen. So it's in that you've got to take the first step, and it will be a journey. all of this is why astrology is so powerful, because all of this layers on top of each other. So you don't have to just take it all at once. You can chip a little bit away, piece by piece by piece. How have you been stronger in the Taurus energies in your life? How have your security systems been stronger? Your values been stronger? How we build our lives with others been stronger? How has your worth been? It's also a really great time. Eclipses especially are a wonderful time to just simplify and enjoy. Self-acceptance, self-love, like just simplify it. Simplify your life. It doesn't have to be complex. You know, it doesn't need to be all of these things that, you know, we are programmed with, and we are told this is what the perfect life is. I'm sorry, you weren't in my conference call with God. That was a solo Zoom meeting. You weren't there. So you can't tell me that this is what it's supposed to be. This is your life, your discernment, what you need to do in order to get your best life possible, because your best life possible is not the same as mine, and it's not the same as everybody else's. And only you know that. That's it. With Venus and Virgo, how and what you are truly learning, and how you are embodying this in your day-to-day life. You can have the thoughts, you can talk the talk. It don't mean nothing if you're not putting action behind it. You have to live it. Whew, message from Venus and Virgo, y'all. Like, channel complete. Thank you. Woo. All right. Get off the surface and get thorough. Thank you, Venus and Virgo. All right, let's get into Jupiter. I'm going to change the color again. We're going to go to blue, so that way we can highlight Jupiter here. Here is our good friend Jupiter. Still in retrograde, 11 degrees, 44 minutes. This is in Taurus right here. So this red line, like I said, is an opposition. So he is opposing. We know the day. We've got Mercury going first. Yes. Mercury goes first, then Mars. Mars goes first, then Mercury. And this opposition, there's also, let me show this too. There is also a wide trine headed over to Venus. So this little blue line here, that's a trine headed over to Venus. So on the 21st, Jupiter and Venus did their exact trine. We're 7 degrees off, so it is wide for me. I like to normally stay within that 3-degree point. However, it's important to understand how all of these things are building up. So we have an actual opposition between Mercury and Mars in Scorpio and Jupiter retrograde. We have a very wide trine, my opinion, with Venus and Virgo. All of that is activated. Jupiter is coming in. Not only is Jupiter very present here, but on December 30th of 2023, so in 2 months, right before we head into 2024, Jupiter is going to station direct. And would you believe that Jupiter is stationing direct at 5 degrees, 35 minutes at this exact eclipse point? Not only is it at this exact eclipse point, right? We're at 5 degrees, 9 minutes. This will be 5 degrees, 35 minutes. But this is also where Mercury was retrograde earlier this year. This, I'm getting goosebumps right now. This whole moment into December is like topping off all the things you did in 2023. All the things that you worked through the last 18 months, 1.5 years with this Taurus and Scorpio cycle. it's the cherry on top. This is the good. This is what we want. This is the opportunity we've been looking for. This is the support we've been looking for. This is the validation we've been looking for. This is the opening we've been waiting for. Especially fixed signs, y'all, especially fixed signs. This is the bigger and beneficial that we need. This is what is coming in. This is what will come in when Jupiter stations direct. So again, think about what we talked through. High effort, high reward. Get off the surface and get thorough. It's not here yet. We still have until December 30th. So while Jupiter is bringing all of these things to us, it's not happening on this eclipse. Don't lose sight. You still have to get to December. High effort, high reward. It's time to be thorough about what you're doing. You still got to do the work. You still got to show up. You can't just, let's see what comes out. 6 of Cups and King of Cups. There's still work to be done. There's still implementation that you need. And this to me is implementation outward. This isn't things that you're doing inside. So for example, something like this could look like is if you've been waiting to start your podcast, time to bring that out into the universe. It's time to bring it out into the world, into the community. If you've been thinking about doing a retreat, if you've been, whatever healing work you're doing, if you've been thinking about building your business, getting an LLC, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, it's time to bring those things out into the world. Time to bring yourself out into the world. And again, this is slow rolling that through December. So on the 30th, when Jupiter stations direct and begins to move forward, gets out of his shadow into, like, I think it's January, February, that will be what you can tap into. You can feel more open and abundant. You can feel like you can come out. Maybe the things that you put into place begin working, but you still have to show up. Look, this guy here with all of his cups and all of his flowers, he's at the market. Maybe this was his first customer in 8 hours. But he still had to sit here for 8 hours to get this customer. That's the energy. Don't lose sight of that. This is where the King of Cups comes in. This is the foundation that we are setting for our future. What are you worthy of? This is an inside. This is an emotional question. This is a feeling question. What are you worthy of? Get out your feels, get practical. Hello, Venus and Virgo. Take stock assessment. Are you where you want to be? And if not, make the changes between now and December so all of those pathways can open up for you when Jupiter stations direct. This is build, grow, and develop time. 100%. All right, I'm going to stop sharing the chart. All right. Last thing on these eclipses before we get to the Twitchy tip of the week. So get off the surface and get thorough. In the episode 1 of the 12th House podcast, which you can find up on YouTube now, I did a whole cover of eclipse season. It's like 10 minutes. It's super quick, but it is thorough. And it talks about this concept. And when I went into October, the vision that I got about this eclipse season being a lot like rocket boosting, launching rockets into space, where, you know, we did all the preparatory work. The first eclipse, we literally launched. That was a whole moment. This eclipse was all about our boosters disengaging. We don't need the boosters anymore. We needed the boosters to get us up. We don't need the boosters anymore. So the boosters are disengaging. And what happens when hopefully you've seen shuttles. If not, go on YouTube, watch a shuttle launch. When the boosters disengage, that allows the spaceship to begin to take flight on its own to make it to its trajectory. That's where we're at right now. And there are a lot of shifts. I talked about this, I think, last week. I've talked about this in other areas. I definitely talked about it in the all signs reading. This feels very much like an escalator. It feels very much like we're in Inception, where like all the blocks are changing, or like Doctor Strange, right? Like whatever you want to look at. But it's like, we're going up one set of stairs and then they shift and change. And now you're like headed on another set of stairs. And it's like, it's this rise and fall. What escalator are you on? What escalator do you want to be on? How do you get off? Don't miss the landing. Make sure you're getting onto the other one. There's so much shifting and happening right now. We can't forget to disengage our boosters. We can't forget to get to our trajectory. We have to wade through this. We have to get through it without completely exploding everything. If we don't disengage the boosters, we're carrying that weight that we can't carry. We will not make it to our trajectory. Whatever point that is, we ain't going to make it. We have to disengage. So this is happening not only at an individual level, like all eclipses happen at an individual level. This affects us individually, but this also affects us as a collective, which then affects us individually even more so. So just be aware of the rise and fall of things happening out in the world. This eclipse, Taurus Scorpio axis, let me just give a quick reminder of all the things that have occurred during this axis. The yo-yo of food that's available, the pricing of food, the ability to move. Uranus and Taurus is all about the movement of resources. So how we get food, truckers, the farmers, the trains, whatever that looks like, semis, right? How food gets to us and what that looks like. That has all been uproared through this eclipse cycle. Gas, the yo-yo and gas, our reserves going dry. All of the things with gas. Also, how do we transport to get the things that we need that are essentially the basic necessities for us to live in this time frame comfortably, in security, etc. Finances, Bitcoin and banks. Do I need to say more? This eclipse cycle has seen a lot of banks close. It's seen a lot of Bitcoin stuff going up and down. It's had a lot to do with money. We can also thank Capricorn and Pluto in that manner too. And then also, like, think about it from the celebrity area, Kanye. Yay, all of his stuff happened during this eclipse cycle. And then also, Elon bought X during this eclipse cycle. When he bought it, it was still Twitter. That also had a lot to do with money and finances and like that piece of money to it. And then the next eclipse cycle, so he bought it in the early part of the year. The next part of the year, which would have been last year, October, he renamed it X. So this is how eclipses can show up from a collective perspective. And that still affects us. Are we letting it distract us? Are we letting it not disengage our boosters? Are we keeping that's surface? All of that shit is surface. Get thorough. The last thing that I will say about these eclipses, and I am tying this to Mercury and Mars, watch your words. If you get into it, if you choose from today until I'm going to call it November 1 to get into it, you better be willing to see it all the way through. The whole enchilada. Because once it's out there in the universe, there is no going back. Nada. So make sure before you unmute, make sure before you send that email, make sure before you have that conversation that you are ready and willing to make that the hill that you die on. It's okay to be silent. It is not the time to be callous with your words at all. Cool. All right. So before we get into the Twitchy tip of the week, Sunday, I did a YouTube live, all zodiac sign tarot reading for this eclipse. I am going to be doing more of those. So make sure you can go and check that out. It was intentioned for your sun, moon, and your Venus sign. It is up now on my page, but I am absolutely incorporating more of the all sign zodiac readings into future habitual sages stuff. So if you are not already subscribed on YouTube, make sure you do that. So that way, you know, when I go live or when a new tarot reading video is posted, because that is got the message from the ancestors. That is where we are at. That's what we need to do. You will also find on my YouTube page, the 12th House podcast has launched. I'm so excited about this. This was an idea that, again, showing how all of this works. This was an idea that was hatched earlier this year, and it never came to fruition, even though the idea was so strong. I just kind of let it energetically take its time, get what it needs to. And of course, thank you, ancestors, in the month of October, it was go for launch. So there are 2 episodes up now on YouTube. The 12th House podcast aligns with the heal portion of Habitual Sage's mission, my mission, which is to help 1 million people heal, thrive, and grow. Twitchy Tuesdays is all about the thriving. We've got the heal portion, which is the 12th House podcast, and we cover everything there. My first one was about astrology. The second one was about cooking and how cooking can help you heal. And so we'll cover everything from astrology to my journey with Ifa in general. And it's just all about the healing journey of life. So be sure to check that out as well. All right. Heading into the Twitchy tip of the week. I've got 3 of them for you. Here we go. It's eclipse season, y'all. No magic. Twitchy tip of the week, the first to all of my spellcasters out there, all of the goddesses, all of the, magic men, the wizards, anybody out there that does magic, uses spell work, crafts, whatever. Eclipse season is typically not the time to do magic. Now, there are caveats to everything. There are different levels of practitioners out there. You know, use your own discernment. You know best for you if at this time the magic should happen. But typically, eclipse season, eclipses themselves are not time to go and get moon water. They're not time to go and charge crystals. They're not time to do spell work and cast spells and do all of that. Honest to God, eclipse season is a lot about isolation. It is a lot about being with yourself. It's a lot about being in your comfort, allowing the energies to move through you. Not a lot of work is needed. Eclipses are so powerful in their own right. You don't really need to do much for them. So just think through that. Make sure that you're using that discernment for yourself and working with eclipses. The other thing, again, going back to that isolation point. Look, I'm not there yet. I actually got a great night's sleep, thank goodness, but I am fully expecting, just like I expect during all full moons, especially all eclipses, I just expect sleepless nights. I expect the 2 a.m. club. If you are part of the 2 a.m. club, leave it in a comment. Please come and join me because that is real. You may have some sleepless nights out there. So get your emotions, get your being, get your mental prepared. The world is changing. We're ending. We're on a new trajectory. Things are going to continue to happen, etc. So just be aware. And the last tip, the last Twitchy tip that I have for you, watch what you are telling yourself that you are. and what you are participating in. Remain authentic to who you are and remain in your integrity. It is pivotal. It is pivotal. Good character, iwa puele. Good character is pivotal regardless at all times. But right now, the energy is really, really primed for it. So stay in your authenticity, stay in your integrity, watch what you tell yourself is true, watch what you participate in. And if your values are no longer aligning with the things that you participate in, you need to make those changes because now you're not being authentic. So those are my Twitchy tips of the week. That is it for this Twitchy Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you next week. Have a beautiful, beautiful eclipse season, everyone. Bye.